Hours with the Lord of the Rings SPG team and Fellowship of the Carolinas. I'm doing another video today. This isn't really, I might have some hobby vlog stuff later on in the video, but right now I'm just going to do a little army showcase. I mentioned I was going to do it in the last video and only ended up showing a couple models, so got my Gondor army set up here on my desk in front of me. I'm going to pause and turn the camera around here in a second, and then I will kind of walk you through that and show it off a little bit. Here we go. Guys, here's my Gondor army. It's kind of arrayed across the desk here. Hopefully you can see it. The lighting's not super great. I have two lamps on to give it a little better, get rid of some of the shadows. But I'll just kind of start at the front and work my way back. I painted this army. I painted all the infantry. I speed painted. Well, I batch painted. I didn't really get them done all that fast. But it's about 60 plastic Warriors of Minas Tirith. And starting at the front, I've got Boromir, Knight of the White Tower, with, well, I don't know if it's Knight of the White Tower or what, but with the banner. I didn't actually paint that. I got that in a trade from one of the guys here in Charlotte. And next to him you have Armored Faramir. That's the old one that's kind of pulling his sword out. I actually like the model. Some people don't like it, but it's a lot of fun to paint. It has some really nice detail. And then we've got a captain. If you notice the bases on the ones I did, they're meant to look like, you know, ruins like you might find in Osgiliath. And I did that by trimming down coffee stirs and adding a little bit of sand to represent the smaller rubble, if you will. And let me zoom back out here. And if you look, I have about 15 guys with spear, about a dozen with sword and shield. The archers in the back, I actually rarely use the archers just because it's often better to just take rangers because of the higher fight and the option to get a spear as well, and the better shoot value. Let's see, and then panning over here I have Denethor, which is actually a remarkably fun model to paint. I'm going to zoom in on the face here. It's very detailed. I didn't do a great job because I'm not a great painter, but and then I have the 3 Fountain Court, which I did not paint either. I got those in a trade as well. Back here you have these guys with different basing and the blue tabards, led by Sirion, a captain, and a banner here. And I just kind of did them to represent like sort of a provincial unit, just to have some variety. Maybe Athelian or something like that. If I ever wanted to run the Athelian troops or use them as Osgiliath veterans or something like that. So just did a slightly different paint scheme on them. And then panning across here, we've got the Rangers led by Faramir and Madril. Still need a Damrod, just haven't gotten around. They're easy to get a hold of, I just haven't gotten around to buying one. And then I've got a mix of Ranger, plastic and metal, Faramir's Rangers in the back. This guy right here, I spent a summer in Ireland and actually won a painting competition at the local GW in Navan. I didn't do a great job on him, but I guess I was just the best one there that day. And I kind of did a mismatch color scheme on these guys, switching up like some grays and browns and greens just to, you know, have some good variety. Madril's another really nice model to paint, as with Sirion. He's really pretty, got a lot of cool, good detail. Let me turn around and show you the cloak. So that's a fun model to paint. And let's see, and then lastly I have my cavalry over here. I've got I think 15 knights, and then Faramir on a horse. Again, this is the old one. I almost converted him to have a lance, but I got impatient and didn't feel like taking the time to convert that. And if you look in the back, I have a mix of the metal. Mostly these are the metal guys, and then a couple of the plastics. I actually like the metals better. They have better detail, but they're really frustrating to assemble because you glue the lance on just at the wrist joint, and it's not that sturdy. So they break sometimes, but they're really nice models. I was going to press mold shields for them, but I was having a lot of trouble getting the Minas Tirith shields right. They're hard to get out and keep them from bending weird. They're just an odd shaped press mold because they're curved. There's the banner bearer. That was a lot of fun to pick out the detail on it. It's really well sculpted. If you look, these are the older, most of these are the older horses, so I added rocks to support them because that helps avoid the breakage problem. So all the ones that are kind of extended like that, you can see these this guy and this guy here also have the rocks under the foreleg. With my Rohan, I might try pinning that instead and adding some grass tufts around there. And this is one of the newer horses, which were much better, more well designed. And you can see they just added a second spot to glue it onto the base, essentially. So that's the army. To paint the silver, I did chainmail with a known wash, then followed by chainmail and then mithril. And it gives them a nice shiny look. The gray tabards are Codex Gray or Mechanica Standard. Black wash, more Codex. Blue, the blue is the same thing, just with blue instead of gray. And then Denethor got, to do the back of his cloak, it's probably not going to pick up well. But to do gray, or do black cloak, I usually do, I use Reaper Master Series Pure Black because it's a really dark matte black, it absorbs a lot of light, and you can very slowly build it up just by adding tiny bits of gray, and it gives a really nice effect to achieve a black cloak. Let's see, anything else unique? I don't think so, but that's the army. I'm gonna pause here for a minute, and when I come back, I'm gonna showcase. Looks like Moria is the next one on top of the case, so that's kind of how I'm going through them, and. So I'll be right back. Moria army here, and so my Moria army is a little bit small. I've only got 36 basic goblins, and some Gribblies in the back, and the reason for that is I built, this is one of the first armies I built and painted in my most recent life as a SPG hobbyist, and see, I got Guardians of Wiltshire in the background, good series. Reason for that is, as I mentioned a couple of videos ago, I think it was the last one, I used to have a blog called Forays in Middle-earth where my goal was to paint and play through the 3 journey books. And in order to complete the first one, you need basically an army of 24 goblins, a couple captains, a couple trolls, a Balrog, which is mostly unpainted, as well as 18 wild wargs. Well, I had 18 warg riders that I hadn't done anything with, and since Games Workshop was kind enough to make those models separately, you can actually play them as either. So that's what I've done here. I'll just kind of walk you through the army. First, there's a couple guys over there I haven't painted yet. Another warband and change, I guess. And starting out at the front with Durbers. Let me turn my brightness up here just a little bit. Not gonna let me do it. Anyways. There's Durbers. That's a really nice model. That's an old one. That was from Shadow. That came out with Shadow and Flame, which was the first non-movie supplement for SPG way back when. And then you have a Goblin drum right here that also came out around the same time. And actually, I bought instead of buying a drum, I just bought a set of 4 drummers on eBay. And borrowing this drum, I'm gonna sculpt some extra ones, but usually what I use is for my drum, and I think it's actually pretty thematic, is I use a paralyzed hobbit because I think a goblin would get a kick out of just like pounding on a guy and having that be his the drum sound and the screams and all that. It's a little morbid, but whatever, they're goblins. And then I've just got 3 warbands of goblins. You see these bases. Actually, I used to base all my models with just plain green flock because a couple of reasons. One, I'm lazy. And I also, when I used to play Warhammer Fantasy High Elves, I would do that to give them like a 2nd edition look. Like my High Elf army was painted in these really bold, flat colors with green bases to look like something out of like 2nd edition or something like that. So I carried that over for a little while, and I got tired of it. So what I've done is I've actually gone through, painted the flock with black paint, and then dry brushed it in the I call this the ash waste scheme. You basically do gray and then a light dry brush of Ushop de Bone or Rotting Flesh or something, like a light brown, like almost tan color. And that makes it look like, kind of a rocky, barren landscape. I do the same thing with my orcs, and some of them you actually see the green between their legs still. And these were very hastily painted. They're goblins. They don't need a lot of work, so they're chainmail with the null wash. The skin is Catachin green with a green wash, I think. The eyes, for the ones that got their eyes painted, I think is vomit brown, maybe. And then you see a few of the metal goblins I use as captains. The models are slightly larger. You can tell if you put them, let's see, right next to each other. They're a good head taller than the regular guys. They're standing up more upright. They make great captains. At some point, I'd like to get a bunch of the armored goblins and maybe run them as my Gundabad Black Shields or something like that, because the metal armored goblin packs are really nice models. I've got another guy back here, and you can see they're notably different. You know, they've got a lot more armor on them. And then there's one over here with a spear I use as a proxy for a shaman, because I only have one shaman model. And you really need 2 shamans to make Moria effective, in my opinion, at around 700-800 points. There's the other shaman there. And then the bows. I hardly ever run the bows because, or when I do run the bows, I just don't use them as bowmen. I use them as just additional troops because goblin shooting is terrible. So you're actually usually better off just putting them in combat. You're more likely to kill stuff. And the way I play this army it's a little unorthodox, I guess. It's not a super competitive way to play, but I almost always run a goblin drum, and some people will tell you they're bad, and they are very expensive. They're like 100 points. But if you get the placement right, it's going to cover most of the board. If you can get it towards the center of the board, it's going to, you know, you're going to cover most of your army for most of the game. And it allows you to, it buffs your courage, decreases your opponents by 1, and it also allows you to re-roll a dice in a fight. So it's an 18-inch banner, basically. And that's super, super helpful. And actually, goblins turn into a pretty stout force if you start talking about getting those buffs and then having the shaman nearby. And if you've channeled Fury or you have Groblog on the board, which I don't have Groblog, but I mean, he affects that. If you channel Fury, you're getting the courage buff, you're getting to reroll dice in a fight. Goblins get pretty hard to take down. They can go toe-to-toe with a lot of armies. And you've generally got a lot of models. The other thing I do is I almost always will take a warband of Wild Wards and the Warg Chieftain, and that helps with some of the weaknesses of this army, that being speed. It's you know, they move 5 inches. There's a lot of them, which helps a little bit, but having a big warband of models on intimidating 40 mil bases, you know, skirting around the flank of your opponent's army, that can really spook somebody, because they can't ignore it. Because if you get them behind, I mean, those big bases can block progress and pin the opponent, so they have to do something about it, either shoot at them or something. And they don't, you know, they go down pretty quick, but once you get them in, they're pretty nasty. And the Wild Warg Chieftain is a really awesome model as well, and actually one of my favorite models in the entire game, actually, because it's just got amazing detail. See, he's got like a Rohan captain or something pinned on this rock here. It's a little tricky to assemble, honestly, just because of the placement of the legs. You can see he's got this guy. He's tearing him up, you know. But it's got wonderful detail on the face. He's got scars, great fur, and all of these models were just dry brushed. Starting with black base coat, dry brush, scorched brown or Rhinox, moving to Mournfang or Vermin. I did 2 schemes. It's hard to tell, but then Mournfang or Vermin, then Vomit or Snakebite Leather, and then finish off all of them on the withers with a bleached bone. And then the skin is dry brush of Codex Gray and Dwarf Flesh, I think, or Shabdi Bone, I don't remember. That's how you do that black skin. That's how it's recommended in the journey books, and it turns out really well. These were started off with green flock bases, but I went back and added the sand, which makes them quite a bit nicer. And then in the back, you've got 2 giant bats. Giant bats are actually, if you use the aforementioned warg trick, you just leave your giant bats in the back, wait till you get your wild warg in with a hero or something, and try to leave a gap, and just drop your giant bats, you know, on the enemy heroes, and hope you win the fight. And if you can do that, then I've taken Thranduil out in a turn. It's pretty awesome. It's a really good feeling to, you know, just swamp them and just throw that giant bat in there, which cuts down their the opponent's you know, fight value, cuts it in half basically. And it's a lot of fun to do. And then of course I got the 2 trolls, and trolls are good, but they're you know, they have their weaknesses. They can they don't have any might, which is trouble. So keep them away from heroes. I had one different game against a player with Thranduil, and he took out 2 trolls and like the Warg Chieftain and a bunch of models throughout the course of the game all by himself, just because like trolls can't really do anything about it if their fight is outmatched. And of course the Balrog. I haven't painted this. I got it on eBay. It's one of the plastic ones. It's really not very well assembled. I need to go back. I don't even think one of the feet is glued on. I need to figure out a way to cut the wings off so I can magnetize it, because right now it goes in this awful box that's gigantic. And it's a pretty delicate model, being plastic. So the tail back there is really thin. But yeah, this is my Moria army. They're a really nice army to play. I plan to expand it eventually and get some good to bad black shields, just because those are, they're pretty to look at. Maybe make some more Marauders, maybe buy them. Hopefully those get re-released and they're a little easier to get a hold of. And also, after seeing my buddy Derek's Cave Drake, I really want a Cave Drake. I didn't realize how cool those were up close, having seen one. And probably won't get a Dweller. I just don't really care for that model. I think they took too many liberties with it. It plays really cool. I like the rules for it. I just don't care for the model. And then I want to get Groblog and Druzag and, the characters. Maybe some giant spiders, the Spider Queen, that kind of thing. So I'd like to continue expanding this army, but right now it's in a good place. This was the army I was going to take to Nova last year, but I wasn't able to go to Nova. I got a new job and had to cancel my plan. So, but that's all for the Moria army, and that's all for this video today. I'm probably going to film another video today, but it won't be released right away. And so, comment, like, share, subscribe, support your hobby, be positive, and let me know what you think of the Gondor and Moria armies I've shown you today. All right.